Good evening, everyone. All right, it's a new time, and we're going to be doing it little bit different since they've been so short and just kind of real quick. We're going to actually be doing 3 days worth today. We're going to be doing last night's, tonight, and tomorrow night's. And then Tuesdays, we'll do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights. So we're going to try to do like 3 nights worth each night that we do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Um, that way,
Thursday we can just do Thursday and Friday.
well, yeah, Thursday we can just do Thursday and Friday, but that way we can kind of cover more and have a little bit more time with you, and also have like Tuesday. Changing the time was also for me, so I can actually get to bed on Tuesday nights because I have to get up at 3 a.m. on Wednesday mornings. But hope y'all are okay with this, and hope y'all join. We'll go ahead and get started. Mark chapter 14. We'll do the first part, which is 53 through 65. That was last night's that we missed. We'll go ahead and do it first, and then we'll do the next part, and then we'll do the next part. So, all right, let's dive right in. It says they led Yeshua, and you got to remember, he's just been arrested. They led Yeshua to the Kohen Haggadol, with whom all the head Kohen elders and Torah teachers were assembling, the meeting hall. Kepha, Peter, followed him at a distance right into the courtyard of the Kohen Haggadol, where he sat down with the guards and warmed himself by the fire. The head Kohen and the whole Sanhedrin tried to find evidence against Yeshua so they might have him put to death, but they couldn't find any. For many people gave false evidence against him, but their testimonies didn't agree. Some stood up and gave this false testimony. We heard him say, I will destroy this temple made with hands, and in 3 days I will build another one, not made with hands. Even so, their testimonies didn't agree. Let's go over that real quick. They couldn't even find evidence against him.
No, there was none.
There was none. And what they were trying to do is get him for blasphemy and false prophecy is what they were in. False teaching is what they were trying to do.
That's like we were talking the other night. They knew everything he was saying was true.
Oh, yes.
He threatened them. He threatened their way of life.
Exactly. You know, so the Kohen Haggadah stood up in front of and asked Yeshua, the head priest, have you nothing to say to the accusations these men are making? But he remained silent and made no reply. Again, the high priest questioned him, are you the Messiah? I am, answered Yeshua. Moreover, you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Father and coming on the clouds of heaven. At this, the Kohen Haggadah tore his clothes and said, why do we still need witnesses? You heard him blasphemy. What is your decision? And they all declared him guilty and subject to the death penalty. What blasphemy did he speak there?
He spoke none.
He spoke no blasphemy. He admitted who he was. They asked him a direct question. He answered truthfully. And they all already agreed that he never lied when he spoke to them, that he always answered truthfully.
Him in the temple courtyard, they said he will not lie.
Come here. She wants down here. Okay. All right. She is trying to get down here. All right, come on. Come here. All right, let me get my puppy real quick. She wants to be next to me. There we go. All right. There you go. All right. Sorry about that. She had an agenda, by the way. So, some began spitting at him, and after blindfolding him, they started pounding him with their fists and saying to him, let's see you prophesy. And as the guards took him, they beat him too. So he's already being subject to abuse,
right.
Physical abuse. So, and this is the end of the first part. You know, we're seeing the beginning of the trial. Number one was a illegal arrest anyway, and an illegal trial, because no trial could be held at night according to the law.
Right, and it was going to go into Passover.
It was already Passover.
It was Passover. They were doing it during Passover,
which was also against the law. And they didn't have any credible witnesses against him, because you have to have two witnesses, and they couldn't even get two to agree. So they called him out on blasphemy when he didn't speak it
Well, they've been trying to get 2 witnesses the whole time.
the whole time, and still could not
he
find
was
any.
ministering.
So we can see this is the start of something that had to be set by the Father, because these are things that normally did not happen. Meanwhile, Kepha was still in the courtyard below. One of the serving girls of the high priest saw Kepha warming himself, took a look at him and said, "You were with the man from Nazareth, Yeshua." But he denied it, saying, "I haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about." He went outside into the entryway, and a rooster crowed. The girl saw him there and started telling the bystanders, "This fellow is one of them." Again, he denied it. A little later, the bystanders themselves said to Kepha, "You must be one of them, because you're from the Galilee." At this, he began to invoke a curse on himself as he swore, "I do not know this man you are telling me about." And immediately the rooster crowed a second time. Then Kepha, Peter, remembered what Yeshua had said to him, "Before the rooster crows twice, you will disown me 3 times." And throwing himself down, he burst into tears. He immediately knew that the prophecy had just come true.
Right.
And that's what that part is about. It's about Peter fulfilling prophecy.
After he had just told him, no matter if I have to die with you,
I will go to the cross with you. You're right.
I will not ever deny you.
And he denied him. Now, that was section 2. Now the next section is 15, 1 through 20. And we're going to get into this. As soon as it was morning, the head Kohanim held a council meeting with the elders, the Torah teachers, and the whole Sanhedrin. Then they put Yeshua in chains and led him away and handed him over to Pilate. Pilate put this question to him: "Are you king of the Jews?" He answered him, "The words are yours." The head Kohanim too made accusation against him, and Pilate again inquired of him, "Aren't you going to answer? Look how many charges they are making against you." But Yeshua made no further response to Pilate's amazement. Now, even this part of the trial was not proper. If you go into Roman law in the historical context of this time, even this was not properly done. Usually it has to do with witnesses being brought forward, not just accusations. There has to be actual eyewitnesses to these things. And usually the Romans did not get involved with the false prophecies and stuff of that nature that had to do with the religious aspects of Jerusalem. But they're trying, you'll see what happens in the next part. You notice they've already said that he was the king of the Jews. So now they're trying to say that he is announcing himself as royalty above Caesar. So that's what they're trying to do. So they're trying to egg on the Romans. Now, during a festival, Pilate used to set free one prisoner, whomever the crowd requested. There was in prison among the rebels who had committed murder during the insurrection a man called Barabbas. When the crowd came up and began asking Pilate to do for them what he usually did, he asked them, "Do you want me to set free for you the king of the Jews?" For it was evident to him that it was out of jealousy that the head Kohanim had handed him over. He already knows this man's innocent, and usually an innocent man is set free, period. They don't kill an innocent man just to kill someone for someone to appease a crowd. They just don't do that. They had plenty of ways to handle unruly crowds. So that should not have bothered him. But the head Kohanim stirred up the crowd and to have him release Barabbas for them instead.
Same
Pilate,
people that had cheered him on and bowed to him and laid down
right,
coats and palms and
are now screaming for
the Friday before this.
Pilate again said to them, "Then what should I do with the man you call the king of the Jews?" They shouted back, "Put him to death on the stake." He asked, "Why? What crime has he committed?" But they only shouted louder, "Put him to death on the stake." So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the mob, set Barabbas free for them, but he had Yeshua whipped and then handed him over to be executed on the stake. Let's stop right there for a real quick minute. The man's innocent. Pilate knows he's innocent, but yet he's going to send him to death anyway to appease the mob.
Right. Well, because
Okay, I want you to understand something real quick. If you go back into Roman history and you look at the historical facts of that time, Pilate was already under duress for his handling of certain situations by being too violent and stuff of that nature. But Roman law states that this man is innocent. So by Roman law, he should have been set free and not even put to death that day, period. Matter of fact, a Jewish trial is supposed to last 3 days, and a Roman trial is supposed to last a couple days also. So this is all happening from Friday night, or no, from Thursday night to Friday morning. This is in the wee hours. So all of this is just taking place is just completely off kilter of how it actually normally happens. So you know this is all handed down through prophetic judgment by God, by the Father himself, period.
Right.
And if you read the prophecies,
not judgment on his son,
not judgment on the Son, but on the people.
so no one misunderstands that.
Right. All the prophecies lead directly to every bit of this. Well, the soldiers led him away inside a palace that is the headquarters building and called together the whole battalion. They dressed him in purple and wove thorn branches into a crown which they put on him. They began to salute him, hailed the King of the Jews. They hit him on the head with a stick, spat on him, kneeled and mock worship of him. When they had finished ridiculing him, they took off the purple robe, put his own clothes back on him, and led him away to be nailed to the execution stake. When they beat him so badly that his bowels hung out. It ripped muscle tissue, it ripped skin, it hit him on the face, it hit him in the front, it just ripped his back to
They had
shreds.
never given anybody more than 39.
Because over 39 they said would kill somebody, but
Right.
they gave him well over 39.
They gave him 40.
And any normal person would have bled to death right there. He went into what they call hyperpolimic shock, I think is what I'm not even going to try to get the word, but he went into shock from the loss of blood is what modern science would say. Well, if he was in shock, how did he carry the cross?
Right.
Because usually when someone goes into shock, what happens? They collapse. But he didn't. He actually carried the cross, but he had to have help, which we'll get into the next part on. Because they did beat him pretty badly. And then shoved a crown of thorns on his head, which caused also, if you've ever cut your head, the smallest cut on your head, on your scalp, boy, does it bleed.
Well, it does.
So they shoved thorns into his scalp. So you know those bled. And if you've ever seen the Shroud of Turin, you can see how his hair is matted with blood. In the image, you can tell that the person that this is an image of, which we all believe is an image of Yeshua, because it's the only time anyone's ever transferred an image to a burial cloth, you can tell his hair is matted with blood by the look of it. So, but the Roman guards, they didn't care. They didn't know innocent or guilt. They just knew they had someone they were going to execute, so they had fun with him. And they're good at that. They're good at ridicule. They're good at death. They're good at all of it. They know what they're doing at this point. They are humiliating him on purpose. Not because of who he is, because he's someone they're putting to death. And if you look back on how they executed people, they humiliated them pretty bad. If they were going to be putting them up to that kind of death, the death of the cross, which is a brutal, brutal death. It's death by asphyxiation. And it's so they want them humiliated and weakened, and So when they get up on the cross, they don't have a fighting spirit anymore. So that's what they're doing at this point. They're doing their job. And that's why Jesus upon the cross said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." He forgave them for doing what they did. Mark doesn't get as detailed in a lot of this, but when we get into the other books, you'll see a lot more detail during the crucifixion and during the trial. I just don't. I don't understand why people don't see what he did for us, but then I do understand it because I look at the people then who saw the things firsthand
They're
and
no
still
different now.
still screamed for his crucifixion.
I mean, a few years ago, I saw that picture of that man holding up a sign that said, "If Jesus comes back again,
Kill him
if
again.
Jesus comes back, crucify him again."
Yeah, kill him again, they said. And because everybody knows that when he comes back, it's going to affect everybody's way of life. But here, let me tell you something real quick. When he comes back, all of the stuff that is in the judgments will have already have taken, a lot of it's already going to be taking place. So when he comes back, it's to do for the harvest
Right.
and for his 1,000-year reign. And so a lot of the judgments will already have been happened. The bowls have already been poured. So when that seventh trumpet sounds, that's when the eastern sky breaks, folks. That's when it happens. We won't hear the first 6 trumpets, but we'll see the effects of them. We'll see all the things happening. We'll see the death and destruction. And, you know, when I read the book of Revelations, a lot of what comes to my mind is nuclear war that can cause that kind of mass destruction, that kind of effect on the water and stuff of that nature. I might be completely wrong. I don't know.
We don't know because
You know.
Revelation, though it's opened up to us and we understand it.
We
much
understand a
more,
lot more. You know,
it's
when
still,
you see the armored description of the armored grasshoppers flying, and that to me that sounds like Apache helicopters. You know, that's because you got to remember, John is describing something he's never seen before in his life.
right, and would never see in his life.
Would never see in his life. I mean, unless, you know, as Jesus said, he might linger until I come again.
Yeah.
He's not in that grave. There's no one's ever proved that John died.
I know.
So
And Jesus
Just
did
saying.
that.
I'm just saying. No one's ever proved it. There's no documentation on it historically. So, I mean, this is, as we finish this chapter, it's going to get into a lot of the brutality here. Bear with us because we also get to the, is that the neighbors I hear?
Oh, no, I hear somebody talking. And we're
But we
alone.
also are coming into something that is going to be pretty neat stuff. But that'll do it for tonight, and we will see you all again
We get
next
all the way
Tuesday.
through Mark?
We got all the way through Mark, and we've already finished
Wow.
through the first 2015. So y'all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me or Cheryl, and we'll be glad to answer them. But other than that, y'all have a blessed week. God bless.
And it's still